When we look at space, we look at events that have already taken place. And in much of the time, we're talking millions of years ago. And sometimes when you talk about James Webb or Hubble Space Telescope, we're talking in the hundreds of millions into the billions of years. But tonight, we're going to be looking at two different objects. We're going to start with a nebula. It's an emission nebula, so we're going to be shooting with hydrogen, oxygen, and sulfur filters. But then the second object is just a mere 2.5 million light years away. Now you might be wondering, what the heck is that far away that we can actually see? But believe it or not, optics today that are generally available to everybody can see this particular galaxy. You yourself could go to Walmart even and buy a really cheap telescope and you can see this object. However, I'm going to strap on a monochrome camera onto the back of my telescope and take longer exposures. Your eye can only gather so many photons, and when that light hits your retina, that's when your brain says, hey, there is an object there. But because these photons are so few and far between, not enough actually hits your retina for your brain to say there's an object there. But really, there is. And that's where having a monochrome camera that is super sensitive to all photons that hit it comes into effect. Stick around as we go for the Andromeda Galaxy. If you're wondering about this shirt, if you've ever seen the show Parks and Recreation, it is the name of the band of Andy Dwyer or Chris Pratt. It was actually a show that really got him going. That's where he got his movie career started effectively, was through Parks and Recreation. Tonight we're going to shoot the Andromeda Galaxy. What is significant about the Andromeda Galaxy other than it's this giant picture on my wall, as well as this picture right here? This one was 40 hours. It's a 2-panel mosaic. And then if we move back up here, this one is a 15-panel mosaic over 6 nights, I think it was. So what's amazing about the Andromeda Galaxy, it's only 2.5 million light years away. And I say only, right? It's pretty close. It's so close that I'm going to use my big Newtonian, which has, again, really fast optic, which means I don't need long exposures. Even though we're supposed to have a 90+% illuminated moon, it's not going to really impact me because I'm taking such short exposures. We hopefully won't be drowned out by the moonlight. We're going to be doing 10-second long luminance shots followed by 30-second RGB images. We'll also integrate in some hydrogen alpha, which will be a little bit longer of exposures just because we don't have to worry about the moonlight with that. The other target we're going to actually start on that's going to allow me to shoot just narrowband until Andromeda gets high enough up that it's out from behind my neighbor's tree is gonna be the Elephant's Trunk Nebula. Now, this one's special. This was one of the first ones that I have ever imaged in my astrophotography career. So the honest truth is especially when you shoot monochrome, shooting anything that's broadband with a nearly full moon is a disastrous idea. And the reason being is because all that moonlight, if it even starts to enter your telescope, can start to flood your images with excess light. So we're gonna risk it, we're gonna try it, and we're gonna see what we get. But before we do that, we gotta get everything set up. So here we go. Now, Andromeda is one of my more favorite targets, and I think it's obvious because I've shot it every single season, but that would be true of just about every other astrophotographer. It is a galaxy that's so close that even a small telescope can yield wonderful results. Now, the problem is with galaxy season, which is every spring, is you need a lot of focal length to get most of the galaxies. Even the Whirlpool galaxy, which comes up in the northeast for us here in the northern hemisphere, it's a fairly large galaxy, but it's pretty small even with 1,000 millimeter focal length. For galaxy season, it's best to have maybe 1,600 millimeters or greater to give you really good results. That doesn't mean you can't necessarily get good results that you could be happy with. At the end of the day, it's whatever makes you happy, right? You also have to consider the fact that focal length comes in handy for sure. You could have all the focal length in the world, but if your skies don't really promote the use of such a focal length, you're gonna have really blurry images and it's not really gonna pan pan out very well. So it's really good to make sure that you get a telescope that is going to suit both your skies and your camera. So as you can see, it's fairly quiet tonight, but the bugs are all out. They're making a lot of noises. And our friends flying helicopters overhead are making a lot of noise as well. I'm gonna get Nina set up, ready to go. We're gonna start with the Elephant Nebula. At 11 o'clock, we'll switch over to Andromeda. And that's where we're gonna have a lot of fun here. We're gonna take a lot of exposures. If you're new, thanks for joining and sticking around for the entire video. If you've already subscribed, thank you so much for coming back. Any comments, questions that you guys have, especially about the photos themselves, leave those in the comment section below. Otherwise, clear skies and have a great night.